Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I've got my space ones in ready for tomorrow's exam and I'm going to run you through all of my favorite analytical words. So these are my top 15 analytical words. So vocabulary to use in an analytical essay that are my personal favorite. Now I'm not a marker, so these are just my personal favorites, and I will let you know this was originally meant to be a top 10. Could not exactly narrow it down. There are so many amazing words and phrases that you can use in your essay, so don't feel like you have to memorize these 15 words. They're not magic words, just my favorites. And yeah, in no particular order, my first word is ascertain, and I love this word so much. I have a bit of a funny story with this word in that I was once reading in a large audience of colleagues and I pronounced it a certain. So I think ever since that moment I've thought, you know what, I've got to take that and I've got to roll with it and I've got to make it a word I use every single day to prove that I can say it. So ascertain, and the definition of ascertain, I'm going to pop it on the screen here, but the definition is to find something out for certain, to make sure of. So for example, through Agnes sharing her past, Margaret is able to ascertain the truth about her. So we can use it to discuss our characters, but I could also use it in my analysis of the text. So I could say that the reader is able to ascertain that Kent highlights Agnes's reputation or something like that. So the reader can ascertain as well. So essentially it just means to know something for certain. So readers ascertain that Agnes is a good person or something like that. Brilliant word. So good that the police are coming. I'm not sure if you can hear that siren. If you can't, then it's not a very funny joke, is it? My second favorite word for today is elucidate, and the definition of elucidate is to make something clear or to explain something further. So our author can elucidate something. So Kent elucidates the notion that Agnes is not overcome with guilt, but rather perhaps she is actually acting out of spite, or she's not overcome with guilt, but rather she knows that she is innocent, or something like that. So our author can elucidate something. This is a word we could definitely use in our thesis statement. So through the use of characterization, Kent elucidates that Agnes is inherently evil. I'm not sure. It's your thesis statement. I don't know what you believe, but elucidate, a great word. I will say after every single word that they are great, because they really are. The next word is notion. I like notion because really easy word to know how to spell. I love a good vocab word that's spelled phonetically. I think that can be really helpful, but this is a word that we can definitely use in our writing. So a notion is like a belief or a concept about something. So my example here is the notion that Agnes is guilty is one shared by most, but I could say through Kent's use of juxtaposition, the notion that belonging is the most important thing to characters is made clear, or something like that. So it's a belief about something, a notion. My next word is dichotomy, and dichotomy is a division or contrast between two things that are opposed or entirely different. So the example sentence says here, there is a rigid dichotomy between Lauger and Stainer. So obviously the sisters are characterized as being very different, so there is a dichotomy between them. There is a dichotomy throughout the people in Burial Rites, the characters in Burial Rites, and how they view Agnes. So that could be a way I could use dichotomy as well. I could say that Kent creates this rigid dichotomy if I'm trying to make sure that I'm analyzing my author's intentions, which I am. Next word I've noticed I've already used quite a few times in this video, and I think that's because this is one of my favorite words of all time, not just my favorite words to use analytically, and that is the word inherently. And inherently means to be permanent, essential, or characteristic in a way. So if something is for certain, it is inherent. So Agnes is inherently strong-willed because she's represented as being strong-willed throughout the entire text. The 19th century Icelandic society is inherently patriarchal, so it's entirely something. Really strong word that you can use in lots of different ways in your essay. The next word is salient, and salient, it means that it is the most noticeable or the most important. The example here is, as Kent's execution creeps closer, it is evident that Kent's salient message regarding truth is that it does not always set you free. So salient, it's just the most important thing. So if you're looking at the main idea or the main message of something, it is the salient message. And again, spelled phonetically, which is very helpful. The next word is a bit of a classic. I did have a bit of a reputation around the schoolyard for loving this word for quite a while, and that is the word plethora. So plethora is a large or excessive amount of something. So there are a plethora of reasons why you should read Burial Rites. There are a plethora of reasons why English is obviously the best subject ever. Or the example relating to our text here is, there are a plethora of reasons for Agnes to give up. However, it is only when. Could be a sentence that you could use. You could also say, Kent uses a plethora of stylistic devices to position audiences to empathize with Agnes. That's another way you could use that word. Each time I look at what I have next on my list, I'm like, oh, what a good word. I just really love words. The next one is facet. And facet is a side of something that has multiple sides. So in order for it to be a facet, it has to be more than one dimensional. So I suppose instead of saying there's two sides to every story, you could say there's two facets to every story. There's two facets to every fiction. I don't think it's going to catch on. You could say, there are many facets to Margaret's personality because she's there's quite a lot going on inside her character arc. You could also say one facet of Burial Rites involves that of Toty, because there are lots of different things that happen in Burial Rites. So the word is facet. It's face with a T on the end. The next word I've had stuck in my head for a while, and I'm not sure if you can relate to this. Sometimes I get words stuck in my head where I just keep thinking about it. Maybe that's just an English teacher thing. But this word is semblance. So semblance is basically like an amount of something. So the definition here says the outward appearance or apparent form of something, especially when the reality is different. But the way that I kind of define it in the official dictionary of Erin Cower is it's an amount. So there is a semblance of hope. There is a semblance of fear in the text. Next word is unequivocally, and that it means in a way that leaves no doubt. Now this is more of a persuasive kind of word, so I'd probably only use it once in my essay because I don't want my essay to read like a persuasive piece of writing. But if in my thesis statement, or especially in my conclusion, if I want it to be clear, so if I'm asked to what extent question and I agree to a complete extent without a sprinkle of doubt in my mind, I would use the word unequivocally. So Kent unequivocally positions the reader to feel empathy for Agnes through her use of. So without any doubt, it's 100%. It is unequivocal. So if I've proved my thesis, then it's unequivocal, right? So that's why it's a good word to use in our conclusion. The next word is foster, and foster means to encourage the development of something, especially in a desirable kind of way. So our example here says, Toady continues to foster the relationship between himself and the convicted murderess, because through his actions, he is obviously encouraging a development there. You could say, a lot of the time we would say that Kent continues to foster the notion that Agnes is innocent through, is another way where we would see the word foster. So it's just encouraging something. So I am currently fostering you to feel confident. That wasn't a very good sentence. Good thing I'm not doing the exam right. The next word is delineate, and this means to describe or portray something precisely. So Kent delineates the representation of gender as being. Great word to have in a thesis statement. It's just another way to say describe or portray, and we know we want to mix up our words. So using the word delineate could be a really good idea. We could say that Kent is able to delineate Agnes as being human through her interactions with. Kent continues to delineate Beyondor as whatever. So delineate. Our second last word for today is elicit, and this means to evoke or draw out a reaction, answer, or fact from somebody. So when we're looking at positioning the audience or positioning the reader, the word elicit is going to be really helpful here. So Kent's use of first-person narration enables her to elicit an empathetic reaction from readers. So if I'm looking at positioning the readers, Kent is eliciting a reaction from her readers. So it's a really great way to vary up our vocabulary. And again, it's spelled phonetically, L-is-it. If I was in this exam, I would be sitting there being like, sit in my brain. I wouldn't say it out loud, actually, because I don't want to get done for academic misconduct, but I would be sounding that word out. My final word for today is, I was going to say another one of my favorites, but aren't they all? And that is the word catalyst. So catalyst is something that prompts significant change or action. So my example here is the catalyst for Nathan's demise can be pinned down to the death waves he saw whilst. So something that evokes a change. So the catalyst for Agnes's demise, the catalyst for Nathan's demise, the catalyst for Margaret's change of heart, something that prompts significant change. So I could say that Agnes is a catalyst in Margaret's life or in Toadie's life because she renders them as changed forever. Speaking of render, I would like to give that word an honorary mention. I love the word render. It's such a good word, and it basically means to become, so to render something. Agnes's home is rendered as something that has never existed, as she's never really had a home. Yeah, that's rendered. Love it. So those are some of my favorite words. So I've just realized that I left one out, and that is myriad. So myriad means a countless or extremely great number of something. And in a sentence, I could say there are a myriad of odds stacked against Agnes. So it's another way of saying a lot or a great amount. Have a go at using them in a sentence. As always, if you want to have a go at using it in a sentence right now, using one of them in a sentence right... Did you hear that? That was pumpkin. Feel free to send me an email with some examples and I'll let you know if you've used them correctly. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me know if you need anything at all. I love you all very much and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye!